Hey guys, how's it going? It's Danconia here and welcome back to the Overwatch League Roundup. Today we're going to look at the San Francisco Shock. So, the San Francisco Shock were what I'm going to call the last team which were part of the bottom four. And the bottom four were the four bottom teams basically that were a bit away from the rest of the league. These were made up of Shanghai, Florida, Dallas, and obviously Shock. So, Shock were interesting because during last season, they had two players, which I believe was Sleepy and definitely Sinatra, who couldn't play for them during the start of the season. This meant that their results in the early parts of the season were quite poor. They struggled during stage 1 and 2. But later on during the season, they got much, much better. And come stage 4, we were looking at a San Francisco Shock team that were very different to the ones we'd seen at the start of the season, where they finished about 7th and they were competing with a lot of good teams. So, Shock have made some interesting moves. Finishing 9th last season, they wanted to make some changes, obviously, to their roster and that to try and make them a bit more competitive this season around. And some of the changes are actually quite interesting. So, they have lost 4 players. They haven't lost, shall we say. They've lost 1 player that I think they perhaps wouldn't want to lose. But then there's 3 players that have been removed or gotten rid of, basically. Dak is no longer affiliated with the San Francisco Shock. Nomi has also left the San Francisco Shock. He actually went to Goats. Yeah, that team in Contenders that gave us this lovely meta we're in right now, which disbanded. I don't know where Nomi is now. And IDDQD is now just unaffiliated. I think he does still stream IDDQD, I'm not sure. The big one, which we looked at a week back or so, week and a half back, is Dante, who is now part of the Houston Outlaws. A massive signing for the Houston Outlaws, and a substantial loss for the San Francisco Shock. A loss that they really would have to replace, because Dante was quite a good tracer player. Boy, have they done that. So, let's first of all, in the back room, they have also brought in a few analysts, Aligned, Mercy, and Shu. That's pretty good. We like to see some analysts in there so they can analyse other people's gameplay, react better to teams they're playing. That's all pretty good, but what we really want to know is the roster, right? We love talking about rosters. So, they still have the very, very good Baby Bay, Super, Sleepy, Sinatra, Nevix, Architect, Moth, and Choi Hu Bin. I can't say that name for the life of me. I am sorry, Choi. But they have brought in 4 new players. This means that the San Francisco Shock now have a roster of 12. They have the maximum amount of players you can have as an Overwatch League team. Now, as London well know, it's very, very difficult to keep all these guys happy, and I'm very interested to see how they do that. Especially for the DPS they've got. Because this team now has 5 DPS players, 3 supports, 3 main tanks, sorry. And a flex. This is crazy, the amount of players that this team's got, but hey, let's go with it for a minute. Right. First of all, the first new player is Smurf. No, he's not a Smurf. Yes, he is a tank player though, from South Korea. All these new players for the San Francisco Shock are South Korean. What a surprise that is. He played in the California Cup for the San Francisco Shock against Valiant a couple of months ago now, I think it was. And he did pretty well. They beat Valiant. Yeah, that's cool and all that. They also lost to Valiant as well in the California Cup, so it was all happy and going. But before that, he was with GGEA, which is owned by Optic. It is Houston Outlaws Academy. So there's another link there with the Houston Outlaws. But yeah, I think Smurf is a pretty decent player. Optic Academy or GGEA, they've never been massively brilliant in Contenders, but yeah, he's a decent signing. I wouldn't imagine he will be their starting tank, but yeah, decent signing for the San Francisco Shock. The next one's an interesting one. This is the first of 2 new DPS players. Both of these DPS players you will have heard of before. So, the first is Rascal. Where do we know Rascal from? We know Rascal from the London Spitfire. He started off as part of the London Spitfire when they had a 12-man roster. He was then unhappy. He left the Spitfire, went to play for the Dallas Fuel. He was then unhappy. He left the Dallas Fuel. He left the Dallas Fuel where at the height of their kind of sort of issues and all that. And he went to play for NRG Esports in Contenders. He then left NRG Esports and now we find him at the San Francisco Shock. Rascal is a really, really interesting player and I really like this pickup. I really want to see Rascal in the Overwatch League. The reason for this is he has got an incredibly varied hero pool. We saw this during the pre-season and Stage 1 of the Overwatch League for London Spitfire. He can play things like the Mei and the Sombra. He's incredibly good at having these niche picks. His Mei, I remember a game, and I can't remember who it was against now, but on Horizon Lunar Colony first point, he played Mei on defense. It was insanity from London. It was really, really good, and it was off the back of Rascal's Mei pick. And Mei is a bit of a sleeper agent in Overwatch at the moment. She can be pretty strong at in certain instances. So I think this is a fantastic pickup for San Francisco, because he has a medal. He has a Stage 1 title medal with him. He has winnings. He's a very experienced, very good player. Brilliant signing for the San Francisco Shock. The second DPS is an even bigger coup for the San Francisco Shock, and this is how I wonder how they're going to keep all these people happy. Unless we go into a DPS meta, which we might be going into. This is Striker. Remember Striker? Now, Striker was playing for the Boston Uprising last season. We discussed him in the second video in this series. He has left the Boston Uprising. We are not totally sure whether he was happy there or not. And he is now part of the San Francisco Shock. Now, in Stage 3, when we were heavily reliant on a person called Tracer, Striker blew the league away. He was, at that time, the best Tracer in the league, and I don't think you can argue with that. There will be those Sabiobi fanboys out there, and I think overall, over time, Sabiobi is the best Tracer, but at that time, during Stage 3, Striker was insane. So, what a replacement for Dante, is what I'm saying. San Francisco, these pickups are fantastic. Then we look at the last pickup. This is a support. This is Violet. So, Violet was playing for O2 Ardians, and I think, I'm not totally sure, but there is a lot of hype around Violet. He's only 18 years old. He will be playing for San Francisco Shock next season, and O2 Ardian, and also the teams before him, he's been right at the top of his game. In Apex, in Contenders Korea, in Surge, he has been right at the top. This is a very good signing for San Francisco. Very good. Again, I can't argue with any of these signings for San Francisco. Violet likes to play Ana and Zenyatta. Ana is incredibly strong in the meta right now. That doesn't look like changing anytime soon. So, this is, honestly, San Francisco, you're looking at being one of the teams that's had the best transfer period in the off-season out of all of them. This looks incredibly good. I just ask the question, how are you going to keep all of them happy when you've got 12 people on your roster? Bearing in mind we do have a longer season this year, it will be that teams will probably have to flex a bit more because there's more games to play, there's more teams to play against, there's more styles and more metas to come up with, because you're going to have to beat more teams, and there are some really good teams coming into the league this season. But I tell you what, San Francisco Shock could be a shock. They could be an underdog for this season. They could do a bit of a Philadelphia fusion here. I really like the look of this roster, and if they can get it to knit together, first of all, I'd be playing Violet. In current meta, I'll be playing Violet. I will be playing Rascal. I mean, the DPS lineup on... Who do you play for the DPS for San Francisco Shock right now? If you want Widowmaker, you're going to play Baby Bay. Sinatra is incredibly good. Striker, surely if you want Tracer, you're going to play Striker. If you want a niche pick, you're going to play Rascal. Is Rascal going to be happy with sitting on the bench a lot of the time if they don't play that niche pick and they say we go to like a Widow Tracer meta? Probably not right now, but if we do, they're going to play Striker and Baby Bay a lot with a side helping of Sinatra and perhaps a bit of Architect. Is Rascal going to be happy on the bench? Because I think that's where he got his upset, definitely got his upset at London. And then when he wasn't played all the time at Dallas, and Dallas wasn't exactly the most straightforward of teams anyway, it's going to be interesting how they juggle this roster. But some fantastic signings for this team. And much better, I'd say Violet is better than Dak. Smurf will be better than Nomi, I would have thought. IDD, QD and Dante were very good, but Rascal and Striker are just as good replacements, if not better. So I think you're looking at a team that can really, really make a push for those playoffs this season. Maybe even a top 6 team if they can pull it together and get the synergy working between this basically Korean-American roster with a dash of Swedish in Nevix. But promising times for the San Francisco Shock. Yeah, I fully believe that this team is going to do pretty well this season. I would not expect them to finish... Well, they can't finish... It's difficult because there's more teams in the league, but if they finish 9th, then, I don't know, maybe where you would expect them, but I think they could go just a bit better than that. I think they could compete for a top 6 place. But you never know. They might end up bottom. Who knows? Who knows with the Overwatch League? We got it completely wrong last year, but we do have a basis to work off. And we know that the San Francisco Shock were improving at the end of last season with the players they had, and they have only added to this. So, I think we're looking at a pretty good team here. Next up on the list of teams to do, we are getting near the end of this now. Next up will be the Seoul Dynasty, which is an infamous one to start doing. 5 left is we got Seoul Dynasty, Shanghai Dragons, Toronto Defiant, Vancouver Titans, and the Washington Justice. After that, we will be having a power rankings video. Then we will be having our preview for week 1. Boy, it's getting close, people, and the videos are going to come right at you. So, for now, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, give it a like, subscribe if you're new, and I will see you in the next video. See you then.